How to Think Impossibly, about souls, UFOs, time, belief, and everything else. 2024. Author Jeffrey J. Kripal. Publisher, University of Chicago Press. Synopsis. How to Think Impossibly is Jeffrey J. Kripal's most mature and accessible statement of his intellectual project. Rather than presenting a new theory of the paranormal or arguing for a particular religious worldview, the book serves as a guide to thinking critically and imaginatively about experiences and ideas that challenge conventional understandings of reality. The central premise is deceptively simple. Many of humanity's most profound experiences appear impossible only because they conflict with prevailing assumptions about consciousness, time, and the nature of reality. Kripal argues that modern Western culture has inherited an intellectual framework dominated by scientific materialism, which has achieved extraordinary success in explaining the physical world, but is less well equipped to address subjective experience, mystical consciousness, and anomalous phenomena. The book invites readers to cultivate what Kripal calls impossible thinking, an attitude that combines rigorous skepticism with genuine openness. Rather than accepting extraordinary claims uncritically or dismissing them out of hand, he encourages readers to examine them carefully, recognizing that some experiences may expose the limitations of current conceptual frameworks. Unlike many books on the paranormal, How to Think Impossibly does not focus on proving that UFOs exist, that souls survive death, or that psychic phenomena are genuine. Instead, Kripal asks why such reports recur across cultures and historical periods, and what they might reveal about the nature of consciousness and human existence. The subjects explored include the nature of consciousness, the concept of the soul, mystical experiences, near-death experiences, UFO encounters, psychic phenomena, time and precognition, dreams and imagination, religion and mythology, artificial intelligence, the relationship between science and the humanities. Throughout the book, Kripal argues that these apparently disparate topics are connected by a common question. What if consciousness is more fundamental than modern science currently assumes? One of the book's recurring themes is that knowledge advances when apparently impossible observations force us to reconsider accepted theories. Kripal illustrates this idea through examples from the history of science, where previously unimaginable discoveries, such as relativity, quantum mechanics, and continental drift, eventually transformed accepted knowledge. He suggests that contemporary anomalous experiences may occupy a similarly disruptive position. Rather than constructing a single explanatory theory, Kripal encourages readers to remain intellectually flexible. He proposes that the future of consciousness studies will require collaboration among neuroscience, psychology, philosophy, religious studies, anthropology, and physics, rather than allowing any one discipline to dominate. The book is written for a general readership and contains fewer technical discussions than many of Kripal's earlier works. Personal reflections, humor, and contemporary cultural references make it considerably more approachable while retaining the philosophical depth characteristic of his scholarship. Critical review. How to Think Impossibly is arguably Jeffrey J. Kripal's most accessible book and an excellent introduction to his broader body of work. Readers unfamiliar with authors of The Impossible, The Flip or Secret Body will find this volume a welcoming entry point into his interdisciplinary approach to consciousness and religion. One of the book's greatest strengths is its emphasis on method rather than doctrine. Kripal is less interested in persuading readers to believe extraordinary claims than in encouraging a more sophisticated way of approaching them. His central message is that genuine intellectual inquiry requires both skepticism and imagination. This balanced approach distinguishes the book from works that either champion paranormal beliefs uncritically or dismiss them without serious consideration. Another significant strength is Kripal's ability to synthesize a vast range of disciplines. Drawing upon philosophy, religious studies, neuroscience, psychology, literature, physics, and cultural history, he demonstrates that questions about consciousness cannot easily be confined within traditional academic boundaries. His discussions frequently reveal unexpected connections between mythology, scientific discovery, and personal experience. Kripal also writes with remarkable clarity. Although he addresses profound philosophical questions concerning time, The Soul and Consciousness, the prose remains engaging and free from excessive academic jargon. Personal anecdotes and historical examples help readers grasp difficult concepts without oversimplifying them. The book is particularly effective in challenging readers to reflect on their own assumptions. Rather than asking whether UFOs, psychic phenomena, or mystical experiences are objectively real, Kripal asks why modern intellectual culture reacts so strongly to such reports. This shift in perspective transforms the discussion from one of belief versus disbelief into an inquiry into the nature and limits of knowledge itself. Nevertheless, the book is not without shortcomings. Its greatest limitation is that it occasionally sacrifices analytical precision in favor of philosophical openness. Kripal raises many fascinating questions, but often resists offering definitive conclusions. Readers seeking clear answers about the reality of paranormal phenomena may find the book frustratingly inconclusive. Similarly, some chapters move rapidly between subjects, including consciousness, mythology, physics, artificial intelligence, and religious experience, without always developing each topic in depth. This breadth makes the book stimulating, but sometimes gives it the character of an extended intellectual conversation rather than a tightly argued thesis. From the perspective of mainstream science, many of Kripal's suggestions remain speculative. Although he repeatedly emphasizes that extraordinary experiences deserve careful investigation, critics may argue that he occasionally gives disproportionate attention to anecdotal evidence, while underplaying the methodological challenges involved in studying such phenomena. His critique of scientific materialism is thought-provoking, but readers committed to naturalistic explanations may feel that alternative interpretations are not explored with equal vigor. Yet these criticisms largely reflect the book's purpose. Kripal does not intend to establish a new scientific paradigm or defend a comprehensive metaphysical system. His objective is to encourage intellectual curiosity about questions that contemporary scholarship often neglects. Overall assessment. How to Think Impossibly is less a book about the paranormal than a philosophical manifesto for a more expansive understanding of human knowledge. It challenges readers to move beyond the simplistic opposition between belief and skepticism, and instead cultivate what Kripal regards as the essential virtues of scholarship: curiosity, humility, and openness to revision. The book succeeds because it asks better questions, rather than claiming to possess final answers. Whether discussing souls, UFOs, precognition, mystical experiences, or artificial intelligence, Kripal consistently returns to a central theme: that consciousness may be one of the deepest unsolved mysteries in science and philosophy, and that progress will require genuine dialogue between the sciences and the humanities. Readers already familiar with Kripal's earlier works will recognize many recurring themes, but the present volume brings them together with greater clarity and accessibility than ever before. Newcomers will find it an ideal introduction to his interdisciplinary vision, while experienced readers will appreciate the synthesis and refinement of ideas developed over several decades. Ultimately, How to Think Impossibly is an invitation to intellectual adventure. It does not ask readers to abandon critical thinking. Rather, it challenges them to extend it beyond conventional boundaries. Whether one ultimately agrees with Kripal's conclusions or not, the book demonstrates that some of the most important questions about consciousness, reality, and human existence remain open, and that the courage to explore them may itself be the beginning of wisdom. Rating? For readers interested in consciousness studies, comparative religion, philosophy of mind, anomalous experience, and the future of knowledge, How to Think Impossibly is among Jeffrey J. Kripal's finest works. It is both an engaging introduction for newcomers and a fitting culmination of the themes that have defined his distinguished academic career.